Hi everyone, welcome back to Tobacco Talk Tuesdays. My name is Caitlin Clock and I'm one of the tobacco treatment specialists here at Unified. Today I'm going to be talking to you about social support, what social support is, where you can find it, and how it relates to tobacco use reduction specifically. Just a couple housekeeping things before I get started. Um, I have been experiencing a couple technical difficulties today, so hopefully you guys can hear me all right and everything looks okay. If it doesn't for a second, please bear with me. I'm going to do my best here. As always, please put any questions, comments down in the comments below at any time, and I'll do my best to answer those as I go through, or for sure by the end of the live stream. And of course, check out those comments below for a couple of resources that I've linked relating to this video and the topic. So to get right into it, what is social support? So social support, like anything else, is going to have several definitions based on the source, what you're looking at, the context, of course. And we likely all have our own definitions or ideas about what social support is or what it looks like within our own lives. And there is, of course, differences in what social support looks like within our own lives. So I did reference a couple of specific definitions that I'm going to share with you guys today. And the first one is that social support is a network of family, friends, neighbors, and community members that is available in times of need to give psychological, physical, and financial help. Social support might also be defined as the provision of assistance or comfort to others, typically to help them cope with biological, psychological, or social stressors. And the last one I found would be that social support is the physical, emotional comfort given to us by our family, friends, coworkers, and others. So in addition to kind of having different ideas or different definitions about what social support is, there are also different types of social support. So depending on what you're looking at, what you've searched, anything like that, you might see about 3 to 4 different types. I have 3 that I've seen used pretty consistently and that I've used previously for tobacco program related things, so I'm going to go with those today. And the first one would be emotional social support. So this is probably the most familiar type of social support to us all. It's probably the most thought of, and this is the support that you get when you're facing challenges or emotional stressors. I personally think that emotional social support can apply to celebrations and any other kind of good in our lives as well, because if someone's with you for the bad, they should be with you for the good, of course, as well. Instrumental is the next type of social support, and instrumental is really about supporting physical needs. So this could look like rides places, it might be help or assistance with chores or other activities, it could be some sort of financial assistance, so anything that kind of looks like that. And then the last type of social support would be informational. So obviously giving or receiving information. It could also look like advice or guidance or anything along those lines. I do want to note, while I've kind of separated those and made those 3 distinct types, they might easily intertwine, and someone might offer you 2 or all 3 of those types of social support, or they might only offer you 1. It really just kind of depends on the relationship and the situation, of course. So basically why I wanted to do this stream, there are a couple reasons actually, but one of the main reasons I wanted to do this stream is that to give off the idea that there's more to social support than just someone telling you, or sorry, listening to you and supporting you through tough or difficult times. It's also about resource access, access to information, of course the support through good and bad, but also about advice, and then just giving you a general sense that you're loved and cared for. And really this can go beyond just friends or family, which I'm going to touch on in a second here. And while I'm kind of on that, I just want to remind everyone that we all have different definitions, different meanings, differences in what social support looks like to us or how it works in our day-to-day lives. And your own ideas, whether or not they line up with the ideas that I'm presenting today, are not necessarily wrong or incorrect. The point of this stream is just kind of offer more ideas, kind of help you to expand on your ideas of what social support is and who maybe is providing it for you, so you can better utilize your group that likely already exists to you. Okay. So where do we find social support? If I would ask you where you find social support, you might come up with likely one of these next three things, which would be friends, family, or coworkers, or some sort of classmate or anything that would fit into that category. These are kind of the most commonly associated people groups that we think of when it comes to social support and who we think kind of provides us with that social support. But other places or people that you can find social support might include healthcare practitioners. This would be primarily informational social support, likely through doctors, therapists, or counselors, nurses, physical therapists, anything like that. You might also find social support through other colleagues, support groups, religious groups or institutions, caregivers, other social based groups like book clubs, or if you have a group that you meet up with to do any sort of physical activity, whether it be walking or some kind of organized sport. Social workers, roommates, neighbors, mentors, anyone else that kind of would fall into that, but I can't think of any more at this moment. So, but also social support might be found in online communities. So, apps are, of course, not necessarily a type of social support because it's not a person who's there to offer any kind of support, but they could be thought of, I suppose, as an extension of that social support, especially for things like smoking cessation. But you might also find social support through online groups or online or long distance friends. The latter being really important right now since we are in a pandemic. You know, how you connect with those people and how you relate to them doesn't necessarily shift when you can't be physically present with them. So, right now, those people, if you have online or long distance friends, they're probably your relationship has not changed much with them, and that's probably great. Another reminder, this will probably look different for everyone. You might have several things off that list. You might only have a couple. If you have every single person off that list, that's amazing. Congratulations. I certainly don't, but it's not necessarily about having every single type of person off that list. It's just about recognizing who you do already have and knowing that your social network or your social group is actually probably bigger than you realized and can offer you more support or is currently offering you more support than you already realized. And so social support in general is very important because it's been shown to be crucial for both our physical and our mental health in that it can be protective against things like depression, stress, and potentially helpful for those who might deal with anxiety. It might also be helpful with coping with any of these or any other issues that arise. It can make an individual feel loved or cared for, maybe feel understood, accepted, or confident in their ability to do things. It might also boost motivation in particular situations. So, in regards to smoking cessation, social support is always something that we as tobacco treatment specialists consider when we're supporting a client's quit plan or helping build their quit plan. So, during our intake process or during just the treatment planning process, we're always kind of trying to figure out who you have, who is going to be there to support you in challenging moments, who's going to help you access resource or any other physical needs you might need in regards to smoking cessation, and who will be supportive of your efforts overall. And on the flip side of that, who could potentially be not necessarily harmful, but counterproductive to your cessation efforts. And this is because social support can be that protective factor against some of the cited reasons to smoke, such as stress, other mental health concerns, anger, frustration. And if it's not preventing those, then it might help an individual cope with some of those issues. On top of that, people have a lot of difficulty in quitting, which is not uncommon. It's very common, and it can offer support through those challenges and also through celebrations, as well as just general support throughout the quit journey or encouragement. Social support can offer up accountability to your quit plan, so telling people what your quit plan is, quit day, or any other type of goal you set for yourself in your tobacco reduction plan, as well as assisting with getting resources or anything else. And then for a lot of people, people within their social circle are in fact their reason to quit smoking. We see, family members or partners cited as someone's motivation to quit. And so having that person can always be a good thing. And then, of course, lastly to note, We, as your tobacco treatment specialist, if you're currently in the tobacco program or if you're working with another tobacco treatment specialist at another program, are here as a form of social support for you during this time as well, and here to support you throughout your quit journey. As we kind of talk about social support and how it relates to tobacco cessation, we also need to consider that there is a very social side to nicotine. So for many people, smoking can actually be a group-based activity. And if you think about things like, smoke breaks or, roommates or family members who smoke, maybe you go out to dinner, go out to drinks with friends, and, smoking is linked with that as well. Maybe seeing others smoke makes you want to smoke, or the calming impacts of nicotine, kind of boost your social, outgoing, general mood. And because of all of this, smoking can often be seen as a way of interacting with other people. So finding ways to counteract this and finding people who can counteract this and support you on your quit, regardless of whether or not they smoke, because that doesn't disqualify someone from being part of your support group for smoking cessation, is really important. And so how do we find our social support for tobacco reduction cessation specifically? You want to look at people within your social network who don't smoke or who maybe have expressed that they'd like you to quit previously. People who make up your motivations. So if you have that family member, that partner, that friend, anything like that. Doctors or nurse practitioners, really any healthcare practitioner that you're seeing fairly regularly, can be part of that social support network. Of course, therapist or counselor if you see either one of those, a social worker if you have a social worker, any sort of group, so social, religious, general support groups, anything like that. And then, of course, once again, your TTS. Um, we can connect you with resources like apps, quit lines, or, smoking online communities or quit smoking online communities that can help support you during this time. And so this is obviously all affected right now because we are living during a pandemic where it is in fact in our best interest to remain socially, but really just physically, not socially, distant from people who we don't live with. So connecting with people and finding ways to connect with social support is going to look different than it did a couple months ago, but it is still possible. So if you guys have ever watched one of these before that I've been on, or if you've read the blog, or if you've just met with me in person, I love a list. So my first way to go about connecting with people for social support is make a list of who you normally lean on for support in your life and, how that person supports you. You also want to consider, while you're making this list, other people who may be able to support you in your quit journey, such as a friend or a neighbor who has previously quit smoking, who might be able to offer support or also general tips or information. And then after that, you want to determine ways that you can stay connected. So a couple ideas that I've put together for you guys would include scheduled phone calls or video chats, or if you prefer text, you do like weekly or every other week text check-ins. You could reach out to others for tips or tricks such as coping strategies, craving management, if they've previously quit smoking, or if they have other knowledge about quitting. You can share your quit plans, your progress with your quit plans, specifically with groups, but also with individuals to help hold you accountable and also just to have someone to share this with. If you have someone who's actually already in your social network who is also ready to quit, make a quit plan together, and that way you have someone step by step who knows what you're going through every single day, every step of the way. This one's a little more general, but you can plan to read the same book or watch the same movie as someone one night and speak about over the phone to discuss it, or you could video chat during it if you prefer. You can make plans for an outdoor activity, such as going for a walk, bike rides, maybe a picnic. Along with that, I do want to say make sure you're following proper COVID-19 guidelines and health precautions, such as wearing a mask and remaining 6 feet apart at all time while we're on that topic. You can also move like a game online if you have friends that you normally have game nights with. You can do phone-based apps like Words with Friends. There's different trivia games, card games like Euchre or Hearts. You can all get apps on your phone and play with friends online. It might also be helpful in a moment where you're having a craving to keep yourself distracted. Utilize your therapist or counselors or your TTS for resources, coping strategies, or other ideas. And then make sure you're making plans to celebrate milestones, however that may look in this COVID-19 world. So, just to kind of start wrapping things up here, COVID-19 is obviously making social connection more of a challenge, making a lot of things more of a challenge. But connecting during this time is still possible and still very important in general and in relation to smoking cessation. There's been a huge focus on close friends or emotional type social support. So really we just want to expand our thinking and realize that we have more people who are there to be part of our social group, social network, to socially support us. Are you guys tired of me saying social support yet during this time? So really just kind of take that in mind and recognize that you have more people in your corner than you probably realize. And of course, my last little plug for the tobacco program, we are here for you to socially support you as you quit smoking or make any other reduction attempts, or even if you just want to learn more about our program or any sort of tobacco cessation tips, anything like that, give us a call or contact us through your case manager or any other unified program. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. At this time, I'm not seeing any, but I'll give you guys a couple more minutes before I wrap up here. We do have resources down in those comments as well, so make sure you check those out before you leave the live stream today. I've got a couple about social sports specifically for smoking cessation, as well as one link that is for people who are maybe trying to support their person who is trying to quit smoking. Tobacco Talk Tuesdays will continue every second Tuesday of the month at 2 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube, with our next one being planned for October 13th. As always, please feel free to reach out to our tobacco team with any topics you might like to see, whether it be on a live stream, a blog, or any questions or comments or anything that you want to know about our tobacco program. And let me give one last check for any comments or questions. Thank you, Amber. I see your comment there, so I appreciate it. And if there are no more questions or comments, I'm just going to say thank you guys all for joining on this gloomy, gloomy day, and we'll see you next time.